Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gangana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalam Achalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami.
Hello, welcome. Pay very close attention to these teachings. They are from a work of Adi Shankaracharya, Viveka Chudamani, and it is Advaita Vedanta. So these are the teachings that you find in the scriptures. They are according to the scriptures. So pay very attention to these teachings. Listen very carefully to these teachings. Then you should reflect upon them, reflecting a lot upon these teachings, and then meditate upon these teachings so that they may bear fruit in your heart. So moving on to verse 115. Continuing with the gunas. Falseness, thinking the opposite of the Atman, the impossibility of things, these do not leave him who is engrossed in tamas. The scattering power makes him restless. So, when you're engrossed in tamas, there's the impossibility of things, like in a depression-like state, nothing has importance, you find no energy to do things. So the one who is engrossed with tamas, depression is an aspect of tamas. Whatever he sees impossible to accomplish, to achieve. And then the scattering power makes him restless, like explained previously. Rajas is in dormant state in tamas, and it creates restlessness in the mind. And he remains in ignorance, dullness, sleep, or thinking impossible things, like a pillar without any understanding. It's just there. And this is the energy of tamas. And again, thinking impossible things. For him, they are seen as impossible. Not that they are impossible, but for him, who is under tamas, everything seems impossible. Now, Sattva Guna. Sattva is pure. It becomes useful for liberation. Therein is reflect the shadow of the Atman. Sattva manifests the Atman, lets it shine through it. It's not like a dark cloud. It's like a clear sky. So Sattva manifests the Atman as the sun manifests the whole universe. It is light. Light, scattering, and darkness are the three qualities, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattva becomes mixed with Rajas and Tamas, and the traits of mixed Sattva are as follows. Declining to take anything upon oneself, absence of pride. So this is Sattva in its highest proportion in the other two. It will bring absence of pride. Denial of things, yamas, which is about self-control. Observance of the niyamas, purification, austerities, study of the scriptures, contentment and worship of God, control of the organs, faith, devotion, desire for liberation, a divine nature, and cessation from things that are not good for self-purification, harmlessness, truthfulness, freedom from greed, continence, and absence of acquisitiveness. So when the sattva increases, all these things will be seen as good, as important as the need to seek. So everything which turns yourself to God and control of the organs, which is and cessation from things that are not good. So all those habits that are contrary, that distract you, make you more dense, and increase tamas or rajas, that disappears in the presence of a strong sattva guna quality. So after purification. And all these things come in its place. So the more you see these things, and the less you see the others, you will see that sattva guna is increasing. And again, when you start a spiritual discipline, a spiritual practice, meditation, for example, you will have to struggle these two gunas, because to achieve sattva, you must purify these. So sleep, dullness, tiredness, this is the tamasic aspect, which you will have to cross, to overcome in your meditation. And the rajas also, the agitation in the mind, the restlessness in the body, the pain, and all of this. This is the raja guna. You will have to overcome it also to establish the sattva guna. So pure sattva is blissfulness, realization of self, pure sattva, supreme peace of attainment, cheerfulness, and an abiding quality in the self by which one becomes ever blissful. So this is the road to bliss, to the self. It is through sattva. So this, of course, has to reflect at all levels, intellectually, emotionally, physically. And this is why certain precepts, like we see in Raja Yoga, yams, niyams, they are very important, very much important. It's not just about awakening energy and moving energy. That's very narrow, very small compared to what it is. It is establishing the sattva guna. So all this, which was observed prior in the verse 118, absence of pride, denial of things, observance of the niyams, purification, study, contentment, worship of God, austerities, control of the organs, faith, devotion, desire for liberation, a divine nature, cessation of things that are not good for self-purification, harmlessness, truthfulness, freedom from greed, continence, and absence of acquisitiveness. So all these, either by observance of these or by the recognition of the increasing of these, you will see if you are moving in the right direction. So some of these things, first you apply, then they start bringing their magic. Others, you just need to observe if they are there and increasing. Because some may be a practice, others are a result of practice. Beyond these three qualities, there is the undifferentiated, the avyaktam, where the three gunas remain in a germ state before creation. That is the cause of these two bodies. Susupti, dreamless sleep, is the state of that causal body. In this state, the intellect remains in sleep. It's not visible. It is there just in a dormant state. Because you don't remember anything after you wake up, there is maybe a memory of bliss. In dreamless sleep, there is no cognition of any kind, but the mind continues to exist in its subtle form, like a seed, only a seed. The proof of this can be found in everybody's experience, that the mind, when we wake up, still remembers, I knew nothing. Well, yes. Memory of bliss, yes. Memory of knew nothing, that's probably a realization afterwards, but okay, for the sake of understanding. The mind remains just as in a seed state. That means it's not germinating, it's not active. Sorry. The body, organs, pranas, mind, ego, all the modifications and objects of senses, all pleasure and pain, the five elements, all the universe, and avyaktam, these are all non-self. I will repeat it again. The body, the organs, the pranas, the mind, the ego, all the modifications in the objects of senses, all pleasure and all pain, the five elements, all the universe, and avyaktam, these are all non-self. It is all Maya, from avyaktam to the individual body. It is unreal and non-self. Know this as water in a mirage. So water becomes water. A mirage becomes the perfect example. The one who is seeing the water in a desert, the one who is seeing this mirage, for him it exists. It's undeniably there. But it is a mirage. It doesn't really exist. It's a superimposition from his brain, let's call it this way, into a space, a place. It's not there, but it's undeniably there for the seer. So the mirage is one of the best examples also. Now I shall speak about the nature of your real self, knowing which one becomes free from all bondage and enjoys the state of isolation, of being alone, of oneness. So, isolation, being alone, and oneness. So this isolation and being alone can be interpreted as something depressive, boring, or something like this. But it's quite actually the opposite. So, state of isolation, of being alone, there it means there's no one else there. It doesn't mean that this body has no close bodies. No, it means that there's nothing else beyond me. And this is the state of oneness. This is the state of pure bliss, of wholeness. Not depressive, not of any kind. As long as there's someone else, as long as there's two, there's duality. As long as there's duality, there is suffering, pain. So this isolation, which is talking about here, is there's no one else. It is oneness. It is self-realization. So a state of isolation because there's no one else. There is one self-existent, eternal, who is the base of all belief that I am, and who is the witness of the three states of consciousness, Jagrat, Swapna, and Susupti, and who is separate from the five sheets. So there is one, self-existent, nothing creates it, he exists by itself, eternal, beyond time, beyond space, beyond time, who is the base of all belief that I am, because it is I, it is pure existence. So is the base of all belief, all the individual beliefs of I. Everybody has experienced the same belief. I exist, I am. Who is the witness of the three states of consciousness, because it is prior to them. And who is separated from the five sheets, again, prior to them. Who knows everything in the three states, Jagrat, Swapna, and Susupti. Again, awakened state, dreamless state, deep sleep. Who knows the intellect and its actions, when it is present and when it is absent. So, this knowing everything, it's a little bit different of what is imagining as the knowing everything, because there is nothing to be known. There's only pure existence. So, but as it is the witness of all, the same I behind every individual, he sees everything there at each point. So he knows everything. But, well, that would be complicated for you to understand. Maybe more confusing. Okay. Who sees everything because he is the witness, he is the only identity, the life, but whom no one sees. Because these ones that are after these individuals, they are after this and not prior to this. So how can they see? They see from them beyond. Who enlightens the intellect, but whom nothing can enlighten, because it is enlightened, it is self-aware, it is all. But it throws that light into the intellect so that it can shine through it. Who permeates the whole universe? It is the universe substratum of that mirage. But whom nothing can permeate, who shining, everything shines after him, from whose nearness the intellect, mind, senses, and body work as if engaged by him. So it is by its closeness that the body, the mind, seems to work as an instrument of the Atman, as if the Atman was engaging through them. Well, that would be a long subject, but more confusing. Who knows all from body to ego, but whom none knows? Again, it's like we say that there is the moonlight, but there's no such thing as moonlight. It's only the light of the sun that reveals the moon and seems that the moon is shining. This is the Atman, indivisible, eternal, blissful, knowledge, ever uniform, understood in the understanding only, and engaged by whom all the senses and organs work. So there's no divisions in the Atman, it is eternal, blissful knowledge, bliss itself, ever uniform, no changes, no parts, understood in the understanding only. And the understanding comes only after realization. So after realization, there's the understanding of the Atman, and that's where it is understood. But even that understanding is not really from the nature of that mechanism of understanding, which is the mind. Here, in this cave of the heart, but not in all hearts, in the heart of the one established in sattva quality, in that heart alone, as the sun shines in the sky, dwells the Atman. In other hearts, it's like that clouded, dark clouds that don't let the sun rays pass, that the warmth of the sun doesn't go. So it seems like very wet, damp, dark place to be. That is the majority of the hearts clouded by tamas and rajas. Only in the heart of the one who is established in sattva does Atman shines purely. In the others, it's just a shadow. But it's just words. These are words that are conveying a meaning which these words cannot touch. So don't embrace too much the words. Try to grasp the meaning and hold on to it. Sorry. He is the knower of the self, the mind and its transformations, of the body, the senses, the pranas and their actions. As fire in the iron, he works in all of these and does not undergo any change. So he is the knower of all these modifications, work through them, but still continues untouched, unchanged. They give the example here of the fire that acts on the iron, melts it, purifies it, changes its shape, but still continues unaffected. It doesn't transform because of that. He is never born, he never dies. Of course, if he's never born, he will never die. He neither increases nor decreases, he is totality, nor changes. He is eternal. Even when the body dissolves, he remains like the sky in a broken pitcher. So that sky that was inside the pitcher, when the pitcher breaks, that sky, that air remains the same, undisturbed by the transformation in the pitcher. Beyond all transformations of nature, pure intelligence is nature. Existence and non-existence come from him. Beyond all specifications, such as Paramatman, who shines as the witness in Jagrat, Swapna and Susupti, waking state, dream state, dreamless state. I am he. Know this by the purification of your heart, by the controlled mind. Know thy own self. Birth and death are the waves of that shoreless ocean. Cross it safely. Dwell in your real state as Brahman. I am he. I am that. I, this existence, the self-perceived existence, or the existence perceived by self, whatever. It's the same. I am that. It is the same. But I have to know this by the purification of the heart, like cleaning the sky that has those dark clouds opening up so that the light of the Atman may shine. And this is through the spiritual disciplines prescribed by the enlightened teacher, Guru. By the controlled mind, it has to be a controlled mind to become steady in the contemplation of the Atman. So, no going after sense pleasures. The mind which is controlled is undisturbed by the inner impulses that drive you into engage in investing in circumstances, in the objects of the senses. Birth and death are the waves of that shoreless ocean. That means it is infinite, that ocean of delusion. And the waves, birth and death, they are waves like it's episodes in the experience of this individual character. That it's a little bit bigger than what you call life and death. It's the same, it's just episodes like these states, Jagrat, Swapna, waking state, dream state. They are just two different episodes. A set of eyes is closed, another is open to another place, another set of circumstances, and individual experience continues. Deep sleep, there is still I, there is still presence, nothing else is there. So these are all very revelating states. So this birth and death, they are more or less like waking and sleeping. And this gross plane of existence, what we call physicality, we differentiate it here by the gross physical universe for this gross body, but in what we call the subtle body, from here, there is the experience of physicality in the same way as it is here. So it's more accurate to say that it's the experience of the individual. So there's infinite experience of the individual, infinite ones, and so it is a shoreless ocean. Because it doesn't matter where you swim, in which direction, you will not find the end. Like in a dream again. You start the dream in the middle of something. You don't come in the beginning, but in the middle of something which is already happening. And it finishes not in the end of what was happening. It's like it's still continuing, but I'm stepping out of the boat. In the same way I've got in, I get out. Not seeing the beginning nor the end. It just continues. So it is this ocean of delusion. It is endless. It is not by swimming through them, but there's an aspect here. No. Okay. So it's probably another verse because I'm reminding something, but okay. So this ocean has no end. It is not by swimming in it that you will reach the shore. This is the bondage of the individual, to take the non-self as the self. And from that bondage comes birth, death, and other myriads of different sufferings due to ignorance. The ignorance by which one takes this unreal body as real and nourishes it, and tries to preserve it by the objects of senses, as the silkworm preserves its cocoon. So, taking the non-self as the self, this is the bondage of the individual. He believes in its own existence as he is experiencing it by ignorance of his real nature. And from that bondage, like in the example of the snake and the rope, by seeing the snake, a lot of things come out of that seeing, that belief, fear, anxiety, curiosity maybe, anything can come out of that. And so it is by taking the non-self as the self, comes birth, death, and myriads of different sufferings due to ignorance. The ignorance by which one takes this unreal body as real, and then nourishes it, tries to preserve it by the objects of the senses, then continuing to assert its reality by this investment. Covered by tamas, the fool who has no discrimination through darkness thinks that what really is not is, just as when one takes the rope as the serpent, different kinds of disturbances arise. Therefore, taking the unreal as the real, that is bondage. So covered by tamas, those dark clouds, the fool, he is a fool because he doesn't know, but he thinks he knows because he believes that I am this. Therefore, he has no discrimination. Thinks that what really is not is, that really is not, the body-mind. He takes it as for real, but it is not. Just as one takes the rope as a serpent, as I spoke previously. That one indivisible, eternal knowledge who is full of endless glory is veiled by this quality of tamas as the dragon swallows the sun. So the dragon, which is close to the observer, covers the sun in its back. Probably there's another side of this example which I don't know, but the idea is that it can appear that the dragon eats the sun by covering it. So the one, yes, it's covered already. The sun, the one indivisible, that represents the eternal knowledge, who is full of endless glory, is veiled, apparently a mirage-like veil. Okay. So we'll stop here.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.